How
Are
you
you
to go?
sure?
Yeah, you
Are you
open
sure?
to be a youth. Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, fellow African youth. I'm very, very excited to be part of this conversation. I personally don't think this is supposed to be presented as a keynote speaker, or rather more of interaction, conversations, and dialogue. Yeah, the dialogue as basically that is what the forum or yeah this platform is supposed to be. So let me start by appreciating Ohia to call it in a short Ohia for thinking about this initiative. And of course we have always had this conversation over time. When are we going to begin to put One Health into action? I know you know that, and some other people who are here know that. Look, I don't want to say we have had enough of awareness. We still need awareness. We need promotion, but we need to begin to move, just like Professor Fashina said yesterday, to implementation, to activities. We may not be able to solve all of Africans' problems, but what can we do within our limited, our limitations to just put those things into action? And that is, for me, when the One Health thing becomes something relatable to everybody. And we're going to see perhaps, and again, I also like to appreciate the thought of the organizers in terms of how they're able to link this together. Traditional One Health conversation, just about human health, animal health, planetary health. Like, the truth is, One Health is part of a system. One Health is part of a system that has so many other things. And one of the drivers of any system or any ecosystem, so to say, it's economy, it's people, it's welfare. So One Health is not something outside of what you and I do every day, but it's just a new way of thinking about this or approaching some of this. So I like the fact that green entrepreneurship. So in this conversation, we see, so perhaps many of us have been practicing One Health without even knowing they were practicing One Health, because we're not meant to see as that way. So we're going to see what is the role of economy, or what is the role of entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs in driving this, what we call the green entrepreneurship, and how does it relate to people, how does it benefit people at the end of the day, whether from the planetary approach, or from the economic profit approach, or from the human health angle of it. So I like the fact that we're having this convergence of ideas into things that we're beginning to see to be relatable. So I'll talk about green entrepreneurship briefly. I hope that I'll be able to manage time. I was in between, like, when I listened to Professor Fashina's discussion yesterday, and the interest that I saw in the youth on this platform, the questions, conversations, I was tempted to want to even perhaps just change my approach to the presentation and just try to answer some of the questions from the perspective of business. Well, so I have a slide that is a mix of maybe some examples and some principles, and I'll try to just see how this will become to not be something boring, and then we can discuss. So I'll take like 30 minutes to present the slide, and I'll prefer to take 30 more minutes or 20 more minutes for us to actually discuss what are the areas of concern. So what is green entrepreneurship? Sometimes we like to like use very nice words, nice phrases, but the bottom line is it's not about how, let me use the word, how sexy the definition is, but it's about the message. So when you talk about green entrepreneurship for a layman, it's just an approach to business that encompasses entrepreneurial activities with strong commitment to environmental and social responsibility. So it's business, but it's also very conscious about the impact on the environment and the impact, on people, yes, whether socially or economically. So I would say that in my definition, I think a green entrepreneurship or a green enterprise is a classical example of what is now known as social enterprise. And we'll see how social entrepreneurs from historically and in most recently have been like in the front line of bringing changes to communities, to countries, to regions and societies, because they have now been able to change the narrative of business from what it typically used to be for profit, capitalism as it is, to something that's like, yes, it's for profit, but also has this social mission, this fulfillment, this sense of fulfillment, like, look, I'm contributing to the society, whether in terms of environment or social responsibility. So somebody describes social entrepreneurs as people who combine the brain of business schools with the heart of social workers. So it's a hybrid kind of model that enables the practitioner to solve complex and wicked problems, just like what the doctor from, I think it was Kenya yesterday, how she described One Health as a wicked problem. Yes, it is. So there's this concept of triple bottom line, and it's just at the heart of what the world now calls sustainability. Like, we are here, we owe the society, the environment, the people, and most especially upcoming generation, a responsibility to take care of our today and also not, destroy their own tomorrow. So how do businesses, how do innovators, how do governments, how do people, actors across different sectors come together to solve the most challenging problems of the world in a way that is not undermining the impact on people, on environment, and of course on the economy. So the Sustainable Development Goals, many of us, especially One Health enthusiasts here, I know that we know what SDGs are. And so in 2015, the world leaders met after reviewing the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, and came up with 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And these goals are just like a pathway to addressing or transforming, our world. So many of the problems, whether they are human health or animal health or environment, or, are all rightly captured in. So the SDGs then become like a roadmap or a matrix that people who are willing to solve problems, entrepreneurs, government, and so on, like, they have a guide. Okay, so how this problem I'm trying to solve, where does it fit in the SDGs? And I'm going to tell you later why you need to relate whatever you are doing to these SDGs. So basically, this concept of triple bottom line, came to be, and it's just saying that how can we have initiatives that are people conscious in terms of social, that's inclusive, that's not leaving behind marginalized groups, like maybe women, youth, people with disabilities, displaced individuals and so on. At the same time, being conscious of the impact of environment, whether through production, through sourcing of raw materials, through production, through, or the after effect of the products or services that we're involved in as businesses. How are we sure that these are contributing positively to our environment? And of course, profits, sustainability, one of the three, the key, pathways or, foundations for sustainability is profits. So how do we create initiatives that are self-sustaining, that can run themselves, that can create wealth and opportunities for people, involved in, whether it's as staff or as employers or as partners and so on, especially in a way that it becomes something that can outlive the owners or the initiators of the initiative. So this is a triple bottom line. So this is how to look at problems. So any of the problems or ideas that you have, how is it answering this, what we call acid test, is people, planet, and profit, and how does it relate to the SDGs? So again, I told you sustainability or sustainable businesses or green businesses or green enterprises are built on these three basic foundation: social responsibility, I've explained that, and engagement, economic viability, and long-term financial sustainability. There are thousands of innovations or hundreds of thousands of innovations, that came out of Africa, especially with the emergence of mobile technology. But many of them have failed. Many did not see the light of the day. Many 2-3 years failed. So why? And part of the reasons, basically because most of those innovations are not economically viable or sustainable. And then I've talked about the impact and sustainable practice on the environment. The world is facing a lot of issues. Climate, we all know what the effect of climate change is on people, livestock, the food chain, the environment, emergence of diseases in humans and animals. So green entrepreneurship seeks to solve problems using these three lenses. What's happening? So let's begin. Let's just quickly look at them one after the other. Well, I explain all of this. So when you talk about the social, the people part of these three P's, how are businesses or organization creating employment opportunities for either directly for their staff or indirectly through their delivery, their delivery network or their supply chains? How is a business able to create business opportunity, employment opportunities for people, especially people who are often neglected, women and youth? This is key. And then your employee and staff, what benefits and welfare programs are there for them. So the people part of this trip is really considered your employee welfare, employee benefits, employment opportunities, community engagement. So a green business would have a component, would be very deliberate and intentional about community engagement, because it's in community engagement that you're able to create that impact or amplify impact at scale. Your innovation, your product and services should be built, just like the other said yesterday, together with the community, not, we create solutions together with communities and not force solutions on communities. But beyond creating those solutions, how are you engaging the communities, in using the solution, in giving you feedback, and in helping you to even think about newer, products or services? And then ethical sourcing. So for businesses who are green, who are intentional about being green, even how you source your your raw materials has to be ethical. For example, a green business will not be involved in using using wild animals as source of raw materials, maybe to create their products, for example. So what ethical sourcing is about, considering people, considering the environment, and considering the impact when sourcing your product. It means also that it's corruption-free. Are you sourcing your products through well laid down procedures that is respected by the laws? Of course, inclusion and diversity initiatives, it's also one area. So a lot of programs that are green programs would focus largely on making sure women and youth are engaged, people who are neglected, just like I've said, like people with disability are being included, and poor or marginalized rural communities are also being involved in across your business model, whether it's at the level of supply or production or distribution of your products and services. Fair trade practices in a way that people are not being exploited. So if you're sourcing raw materials from smallholder farmers, from communities, you are not to exploit them because you know that perhaps they have limitation in terms of, having access to markets and so on. I mentioned community engagement and philanthropy initiative. So we talk about profit. I will try to just be a bit much faster so that I can take questions. Profit, economic viability. So you can have the best ideas, you can have what looks like the best solutions, whether it's a technology or a service or a product that you have designed, but how economic viable is your business? So many startups that I've seen across Africa were not designed from onset to be economically viable. They were just mostly designed based on passion, which is good, based on sentiment, based on I just want to start something, which is also good, but it actually doesn't end there. It starts with having a very good business model and testing your assumptions. So if you say that people are going to need vaccines for their animals, or they're going to need vaccines for themselves, certain period of the year on certain locations, are you able to go to the field to test those assumptions? What is the market telling you? And are you able to adjust? So it has to be demand driven. So when you want to build green businesses and you want them to be profitable and then, economically viable, it has to be demand driven. We don't create innovations and then force it on people. We study the people, we study their problems, we discuss with them, we engage with them, we create the solutions with them. We find out if they're able to afford it and how they're going to afford it, and then you deploy such solutions. So that's what demand-driven. For demand-driven, businesses have products that are affordable, that are accessible, that are available, to the customers. And then technology integration. Technology has come to stay with us, whether we like it or not. And businesses that are profitable and are scalable would definitely have to integrate technology in almost all through, their value chain, whether it's in sourcing, whether it's in production, whether it's in, processing or delivery of these products and services. So technology helps a lot in financial management, in customer relationships management, in marketing, and so on. So profit, sustainable financial management. So still talking about profitability, these green businesses have, initiatives that enable them to be financially sustainable and not always depend on grants or donors or donations for them to be sustainable. And this is a big challenge for many startups in Africa. Once donor funds, grants are no longer coming in, these businesses, hardly survive 1 year or two. So it starts with being responsible in terms of investment. How are you investing in your business? Some organizations start doing very well and then they don't reinvest in the business, and eventually those businesses collapse. Financing strategies, how are you sourcing your finances? Some innovations of businesses or green businesses, actually did not survive because they had the wrong means of financing in the first place. Imagine starting up, a green business with a bank loan that has very high, interest rate and short payback period and so on. So if there is time, or especially during question and answers, I know a lot of us are talking about how do you raise funds or get. I may take one or two answers on what are the best, the ideal business, financing of strategies for startups, especially, or SMEs within the green entrepreneurship space. Long-term planning and growth for stability. Green businesses are visionary businesses. They're not meant to just cater for today. They're seeing 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30 years to come. So they're designed from the onset. In their DNA is this growth mindset, is this visionary mindset of how they can scale up and replicate these business models, across states, across continents, or across countries. Of course, green businesses are very serious about incorporating sustainable supply chains. How do they get their supplies from suppliers, their products, services, or their raw materials from farmers, or from producers of raw materials, depending on which industry you are. And then the planet, of course, so much talk about planet. How green businesses are very deliberate about reducing carbon footprints across their entire operations, from the kind of products, services, products they decide to produce, to how they produce those products, the equipment that are being used, how those equipment are being powered, how those products how products are being recycled, and what are the effects. They are very serious about the after effect of those products or services on the planet. Waste reduction and recycling, they mostly also have a dedicated way of designing like a waste reduction strategies, in the way that nothing really gets wasted, within their production system, which we're going to see examples later. And also recycling practices. Green businesses are very, very deliberate about recycling. Whether it is something as small as maybe plastics that they used as containers for medications or veterinary drugs, or even syringes and so on. So from end to end, green businesses are very, very sure they have policies and processes that ensure that they practice recycling initiatives throughout operations. Renewable energy integration, of course, using renewable energy, solar powered equipment, and all other sources of renewable energy, biomass, biogas production, and so on. These are some of the strategies that green businesses use to ensure positive environmental impact. From packaging and shipping solutions, I was opportune to have been to some European countries 3 times this year, and also even in Kenya when I went to Kenya last year. I would say that I can't remember seeing, I went to shops, I went to malls, I did a lot of shoppings, but all of these products are packaged, on recyclable or reusable materials, papers, mostly paper bags and so on. And also the water, their bottled water, you see that they don't use plastics for their bottled water, right? They use glasses. So eco-friendly business, packaging and shipping solutions. So even in shipping solutions, they look at what shipping methods it has less implication on producing, on increasing carbon footprint. So if, for example, a startup that's in Ghana, which perhaps I'll mention later, is collaborating with Zipline. Zipline is a a global, supply management, supply chain organization that deploys the use of drones to supply, to deliver, medical equipment and basic medical, products such as vaccines, blood, and samples and so on to communities. So they are very deliberate about looking at, so instead of using X, Y, Z, can I use this method that would help reduce, the carbon footprint? And even, in stuff like, as simple as operational things like meetings. And I will say here that I think here, apart from reducing the probability of spending more by converging this kind of meeting, in terms of in-person meetings, thereby saving costs. It's also saving, travels, air travel. So it's helping the planet, because imagine 57 of us traveling to one place in maybe East Africa or Lagos, Nigeria by air just to attend this meeting now. So, but now we're attending the meeting virtually, and at, I would say, negative cost, or at zero cost of carbon to the planet. So technology has a very big role to play, and green businesses are very, very opportunistic in terms of, adopting technologies and other strategies that will ensure that we minimize carbon emission. Sustainable sourcing and production, I've talked about that. And then water conservation and biodiversity preservation efforts. Biodiversity doesn't have to be something big. If you are involved in advocating for, let's say, production of local chickens, for example, in rural communities, just like Latifah is doing, you're already contributing to biodiversity, preservation efforts. And water conservation, how do you minimize wastage, use of water? If in your business, in your practice, you decide that you are going to minimize use of water as much as possible, you are contributing, you're a green business, you're in a green economy, and so on. So let's not think about some of these things as something very, very big, and complex. So now I'm going to give examples just to make some of these things more relatable. I want to give examples of some startups or some businesses from across Africa that are considered green businesses. Of course, I would start for the first time to appear a bit selfish and give an example of what Ambivert Consult is doing. Ambivert is an animal health and last mile animal health delivery organization based in Kaduna State, Nigeria. And it's not only produces, leverages network of community-based animal health workers. These are youth in communities that are engaged, trained, certified to be able to provide, basic first aid animal health care to farmers in rural communities where veterinary services are rare, where you don't have professional veterinary services. But these agents also, train farmers on climate smart livestock production system, practices. So if we look at the 3 Ps, in terms of people, by making animal health more accessible at community levels, especially in livestock-dependent communities, they are improving the livelihood of the people. It means farmers will have less loss, they will have improved income, improved livelihood for their families. Women empowerment, and this, most of the customers or livestock owners in Africa are women. So by making animal health more accessible, you are improving, you are empowering women to be able to earn more. And also some of these last mile agents are also women. So you're creating a job engaging these last mile agents who ordinarily perhaps would have been involved in maybe, social vices and so on, making them economically relevant. And of course, you're preventing the spread of zoonosis from humans to animals. So this is One Health. This is One Health in practice. classical One Health in practice. For Planet, for example, so in those communities, ambiverts deployed use of solar-powered refrigerators to store vaccines, and so that these vaccines are, assessed in the best, the best manner or in the best temperature that they're supposed to be, and that means that the vaccines will be potent, and then farmers can access them, animals will be protected just because you're using solar-powered refrigerators. So I want us to bring in this example so that we look at this, One Health and, and green entrepreneurship from different perspectives. Profits, of course, how do they make profit? We talk about green businesses must be financially sustainable or economically sustainable. There has to be a, how clearly defined way of generating income. So Ambivert generates income from sales of input, from training and consulting. So I'll go to another example, and here I'll fly to the Eastern African and Rwanda. There's Cosmotive. Cosmotive is a social enterprise that focuses on improving reproductive, maternal, and child health in Rwanda and throughout Africa, because of course I met the CEO, and they have products now in some other African countries. And what do? Simply they provide reusable, eco-friendly sanitary pads for girls and women. One of the major reasons why girls in rural Africa, in poor communities, miss school sometimes, it's because they are not able to afford means of the sanitary hygiene, menstrual hygiene, when they're in the period of their menstruation. And that also even thrown some of these girls to sexual abuses, because they're looking for money to be able to afford sanitary. So this lady and her organization have been able to put together a reusable sanitary pad that can be used for up to 2 years. Like, women can recycle and use and reuse for up to 2 years, and that has saved a lot of women cost 8% of cost reduction in terms of what the cost of one sanitary pad would be if they were using just the one-off disposable one, sanitary pad. So this and then she has an agent network also that is made of, it's mostly women who are involved in selling these sanitary pads in rural communities. She also has production, in her production line, mostly girls. In fact, all our production staff are girls and women. So she's contributing not only to hygiene, she's contributing to girls' education, because girls will no longer be able to miss school because they can have affordable sanitary pads. Health education, so there's a platform, a mobile platform, where the customers, her customers are being educated on menstrual hygiene and other forms, other areas of hygiene. So that's the Planet. The Planet part of her business is she uses reusable pads, not disposable pads. It means that she's saving the planet of the effect of being able to use, using disposable materials. Sales of pad, that's how she gets her money, training and consulting. So that's another example. So I will go to Kenya now. Okay, I was in Rwanda earlier, so I'll go to Kenya now. I did this. I go to Kenya now. So Drop Access is also a technology company, but it's a cold chain company that is in Kenya, and they have this innovative product called VaxiBox. VaxiBox is a portable vaccine, a solar-powered refrigerator. You can see that it's mobile, and that can be used to transport vaccines to rural areas where there are no, where there are no electricity, and not only vaccines, blood transfusion products, and other, other temperature sensitive medical products to ensure, and by doing that, improving access to vaccination or vaccines. They mentioned that they were involved in transporting COVID vaccine during the COVID-19 pandemic. And another interesting about this, this innovation is the fact that it's a smart refrigerator. So the refrigerator can detect temperature changes. So imagine you install the refrigerator in a community in far away, let's say Niger State, and there's a problem with the temp, maybe it's faulty or something. You get an alert here sitting in Kaduna, and you know that the vaccines in that refrigerator, the temperature has been compromised, and you have to do something about it. It also records stock. So it's sitting here, I will know that the vaccine refrigerator in so community has, it's out of stock, and then I can deploy. So that helps their business, the businesses of their distributors. So access to vaccine, solar fridges, renewable energy source, helping the planet, training, and then inventory management also helps them to manage inventory, because they'll be able to know how many vaccines vials are left in certain locations or the other. So this is also another classical example of what innovative businesses are doing. And then I come back to Nigeria, and here it's JB Furniture. JB produces affordable furniture for Nigerians. And one interesting thing about how she's been able to incorporate these three P's into her business is she has been able to start up a girls-only furniture training school in Lagos, first ever. And now she has a network of thousands of women and girls who are furniture makers, so contributing to economic empowerment of women. She's also making those furnitures affordable using the design she uses, makes it affordable. And one also, in trying to also make it affordable, they have this furniture swap, initiative where you can, when you are tired of using your old furniture, instead of just disposing them or allowing them to rot, you would take it back to the furniture company, and they make new furnitures for you, and then you just balance up you add up you offset the remaining cost, and they refurbish the furniture you brought and sell it to some other people who are not able to afford maybe high level furniture and so on. So that way she's minimized, not only contributing to people economically, but also minimizing the amount of wood, the amount of trees that will need to be cut each time they need to buy a log of wood from wood makers. So somehow in her own little way she's contributing by recycling the furniture that she produces. So profit, sales of furniture, the consulting, and then the training schools that she has now. So I have another business. I'm almost done with the examples. Is Trash to Cash. Trash to Cash is a Nigerian startup that's also basically simply just deploying innovative methods to source for trash from community members. And these community members are incentivized in terms of money, either they're giving them money for the trash they've been able to generate, or they are giving health voucher. So they've designed a health wallet, a kind of voucher system where if you, for example, give 100 pieces of plastic bottles, you would have maybe 2 units voucher, which would enable you to be able to access basic healthcare, a kind of social health insurance. So apart from solving income problem using, of course, this recycling recycling method, they are also promoting people's health. So I'm bringing all of this example in the way so that we need to expand the scope of how we think about business. Your business may just be one thing, you're producing something as simple as maybe water, or you're producing nose mask, but it can have ripple effects on different levels of the economy or the society. So this is a classic example of how, so when they collect these trashes, what they do is to recycle them. To produce reusable materials such as tiles and some other, materials that can be recycled and reusable. So that's how to, he cash to what they call to the cash. I have another example. It's Sosei Renewable Energy, which is going to be the last example. This is an renewable energy company that leverages on network of women, social entrepreneurs in communities to deliver, solar lamps, cook stoves, all forms of renewable energy, sources of appliances and products, lightening up communities, helping farmers in communities with solar dryers to avoid wastage, food loss or food waste. We know that about more than 60% of food that we produce or crops, go into wastage because of lack of processing. So say is solving that problem, and not only solving the problem of wastage, but also helping to solve the climate change issues by deploying renewable sources of energy. And these women in communities are being employed as sales agents, and they get commission, they get credits. And then when they sell their products in the communities, they get commissions from it. And that's how they've been able to train their children in school, to help family, their support, nutrition of their families and so on. So I would like to just stop here. There are a lot of thousands of examples, I'm sure, even on this platform, where people, who are creating innovative products and services, they're helping to solve the challenges Africa is facing using, the social enterprise model. So the African youth, and I'll begin perhaps the call to action part of my presentation is, we know that Africa is blessed with very energetic, innovative youth who are really passionate. And I saw that yesterday after and the questions, the concerns that are being raised just really show that African youth are actually ready to take the challenge, and they are really concerned about the situation of Africa. So there are a lot of opportunities for African youth because the number is also something like Nigeria is mostly, youth-dominated population, and so also some other African countries. That means that they are in the age where the strength, the economy, the physical strength, the mental strength, and to some extent even the economic strength is there that to enable them to be able to deploy to positive use. So development of eco-friendly products, sustainable technology, new business model, innovative solutions, especially those are technology-driven. But African youth actually are in need. Like, they are at a crossroad. Yes, on the one hand, they are passionate, they want to bring about change. On the other hand, there are hurdles. They need support. They need support in terms of mentorship, in terms of role model. Who are these role models like Professor Fashina and some other, and Dr. Sam? How do we continue to have this kind of people we can look up to, for solutions, for advice, for mentorship, and so on? I think that is seriously lacking. Access to resources. So somebody mentioned yesterday, yeah, you can have the best idea. So how then, well, what if, there's no resources to pursue some, this dream? So they need access to resources, whether in form of education, whether in form of finance, especially finance, to start up and scale up their businesses. African, youth need resources, and they need capacity building, technical capacity building, and business capacity building, and so on. So, but we need to continue to encourage African youth to become ambassadors of green entrepreneurship, because in the green economy lies, opportunities, unbound opportunities that we cannot possibly even exhaust. So African youth need to come together and create a movement and demand for support from authorities, from partners, from NGOs, from businesses that will help them to catalyze, to movement that will enable them to become responsible business, adopt responsible business practices, and catalyze positive change across the continent. I know that there are a lot of challenges. I know if I don't present this slide during the question and answers, I'll have a lot of questions around. But we have challenges, capital, market, competition, consumer awareness. Some of these green products or innovations were not yet there. Like people are battling, for example, on how to feed themselves, and they can't just relate with the fact that, you can, if you use less, if you use renewable sources of energy, you are saving the planet. Like people are hungry, people are not educated, people are poor, so it becomes so difficult for them to be able to even, be aware of some of this, the impact of some of these practices, for example, the deforestation, for example, trade in wildlife that was discussed yesterday, and so on. There are regulatory hurdles. I must admit, as somebody who is running business in Africa, a lot of regulations are not youth friendly, so to say. So we need to advocate for, youth friendly regulations that would encourage more youth to go into entrepreneurship. Supply chain complexity, for example, the Ukraine-Russia war has caused a lot of disruption in, just like Professor Fashina said yesterday, something as simple as wheat. So we can't have wheat because Russia and Ukraine are in war. So supply chain complexity, a lot of compliance is a function of so many things: policy, politics, local production, and so on. So we encourage sustainable supply chain and so on. So I knew that I've taken much time, but I just want to talk about collaboration. I will end it up. So we have youth who are energetically interested in doing a lot of things, but what we're seeing across the continent is silos of innovations and initiatives and organizations, like wannabes. Everybody just wants to float his initiative or his organization, and most times they don't get sustainable. So collaboration, it's the new competition. Whether you're an NGO, you're an SME, you're a tech company, it enables you to have access to resources. Funders or partners or grantors these days are looking for, businesses that have this collaborative approach, so that they don't have to duplicate, financing, across different, locations. Influence and advocacy. If you come together, we'll be able to influence. For example, now we say we want more youth involvement in One Health activities. If we don't have these youths coming together as a group or as a pressure group, then we end up not being taken serious. Shared knowledge, there's opportunity to share knowledge, to share expertise and experience. When we collaborate, we can mitigate risk. If you put together your resources, minimizing risk. If you put together your innovation in one place, and you are minimizing risk, there will be that will have occurred if you were actually working in isolation. Risk may even include regulatory risk. As we've seen people who come together as a group and they're able to negotiate, their way out of some of this unfavorable regulation, because they are in a group and they speak with one voice. And then you can expand your market beyond borders, beyond countries, beyond continents, if you have this collaborative mindset. So how do you collaborate? You can collaborate with other businesses. You can collaborate with government agencies, with academic institutions, with NGOs. there are different models for collaboration. What is just important is for the two parties to understand what is in for each of the parties. So what is it they are bringing on board that I don't have, or I don't have enough strength on? That's a simple acid test for collaboration. Want to collaborate, so how do we complement one another? Is it in terms of the knowledge, in terms of finance, is it in terms of expertise, is it in terms of network, and so on? So collaboration and cross-sector collaboration is also very key. Imagine Vaxibox, for example, now that's mostly working in the animal and the human health part, decide to collaborate with Ambuvet Consult. It means that Ambuvet perhaps may not need to start thinking about fabricating their own solar refrigerator, but with the same, model that Drop Access is using, Ambuvet can even share the same, the same delivery model. Like you're going to supply something, human vaccine in a particular community. We can use the same transportation, like we can use the same delivery model to deliver animal health and human health, product in the same community, thereby reducing costs and making your business more efficient. So in conclusion, I would say that the triple bottom line is a good way to look at green entrepreneurship. It factors in people, planet, and profit, and it makes businesses more sustainable. That's the future for Africa. Africa has a very big role to play in green entrepreneurship, and Africa is a destination, for world-class businesses. You must have seen a lot of them, tech companies and organizations trying to come into Africa. But we need to be ready. We need to ready to lead and not be led in our own region. So, for us to do that, we need to collaborate. We need to innovate. We need to work together, and then Africa would be much more better. Sorry for taking a bit more time, but thanks for the audience.
Yes, well, we were expecting that. There is no way you could have compressed all of this into a shorter period of time. So we really appreciate. Thank you very, very much, sir, for this. This is another Bible for us. I mean, our white paper is just going to be too much. Thank you very much. We deeply appreciate it. We are already receiving questions from LinkedIn. But before then, I would like to recognize the presence of Professor Fashina. He joined late for a reason, and I know. Yeah, so thank you very much for for being present eventually. Also, Dr. Samuel Akpan is also here, and Dr. Sharifat Balogun is also here. And Dr. Sharifat narrated one story yesterday about the lab. There's another person in the lab with us at that time. He's also here, Dr. Gaddafi Sani. Thank you very much for making time to attend. So now let's go to the discussion part. We have like 15 minutes for this. So should I read out the question from LinkedIn first? I'm sure Dr. Fashina has something to say. He's already typing in the chat box, and I would like him to talk about. Let's answer this question first. Then, yes, he will have the floor as well. So the person on LinkedIn is saying, what is the role of organizational culture in sustainability in the light of challenging financial environment? Well, I'm not sure I understand that question absolutely, but I think what it means is what's the role of the value of the organization in sustainable development, especially now that finances are challenging, because it's most likely talking about, if you look at sustainable practices, they may not be that cost effective or something. Unlike the fast and the hard ways that will give you more profit in good time. For example, if you use organic manure, your yield may not be as much as when you use inorganic manure that damages the soil. So that is pretty much what I understand from the question. So
okay. Yeah, so culture, when you talk about culture, organization culture, is simply just what are your beliefs, the beliefs and behaviors and attitude of the team or the organization. So if really want to and it starts with the vision, the vision. So you don't just start a business because you want to start it. Are you really interested in solving problems? And in solving those problems, you are able to make a living out of, I mean, an earning, you know, decent earning out of. So culture play a role in terms of the direction or what practices, are you willing to sacrifice as an organization? What are you willing to be intentional about? So culture plays a role, and it's mostly being influenced by the personal belief and culture of the founders themselves. So if you're a founder and you already know that what you want to do is to solve problems for Africa, then of course you'll be intentional about even attracting the kind of people you attract into your team, because those actually are also very important in terms of whether you'll be able to practice these sustainable practices or not. So yeah, culture is important, but culture starts with you as the owner or the founder of such initiatives, and that now gives you like a direction, and whatever you're going to be doing, whatever practices you're going to be deploying in your organization will be built on those cultures. Cultures can mean ethical culture, it can mean behavior, it can mean how you relate with communities, how you relate with suppliers, how you relate with your distributors and customers, and so on. So yes, culture is the DNA of any organization, but that is almost, I say, 100% being influenced by the founders of the organization. And if the culture is well, I mean, place right from the onset. The talent, every other person that will come to the organization will just fit into, the culture, which then enables the organization to meet up with its mission and vision. And vision here as a green business definitely would have to have the element of people,
So they poured
profit,
water
and
and the
planet.
machine will melt.
Thank you.
Eh?
Thank you
Over.
very, very much. Yeah. But that's succinct response. So I hope the question has been answered. Well, as far as I'm concerned, has been answered. And I hope it is the same for the person that's in it. So now, okay, we have one question again in the chat box on in the Zoom here. Would you share the PowerPoint? Yes, of course. I will be the one to do that. He will not do that. He's too busy for that, please. So, do we have any other question coming in, or we should take input from other experts that are in attendance before we proceed to the next session? Okay, so Dr. Wolabi is asking if you can tell us more about VaxiBox, the solar freezer, the mobile solar freezer or refrigerator, and how to access it. As I understand, it's available in East
Uh,
Africa. I don't know if we have it here.
Yeah, I think the simple response would be, yeah,
Yeah.
I personally know one of the founders or the co-founders. And so I'll say the easiest way for you would be to just possibly Google, and then you get the information, I mean, the contact information about the organization and how to access it. But I know that it's currently in Kenya. Most their products are currently being sold in Kenya, where they're planning to scale up across some African countries. So I'll advise you to just go to their website or their LinkedIn profile and just chat them up. I'm sure you have more, detail about the company or the product, Vaxibox. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So, the next question from Marilyn Muthi, who will be the next presenter. How do you go about
Um,
innovations whereby there is not a huge demand per se, but you know it would be beneficial? So if you have an
yeah,
innovation
thank
and
you,
yeah,
Marilyn. Yeah, this is a very common dilemma for most enterprises, and we have also made such mistakes, I mean, in the past, to assume it's kind of a dilemma, because you are convinced in your mind that this product is beneficial or this service is beneficial, but there's no demand, but you have gone ahead. So one step is to go back and see Doda explained something that yesterday briefly that I'll describe as design thinking. The innovation process has to be co-creation all through. So you have thought about a problem, or you are concerned about a problem, maybe access to menstrual, health products, or access to vaccine and so on. That's good. That's just one step. You need to go by, you need to validate that this is actually a problem. And it is a problem for the target community, for the community where you want to work. It can be a problem for one community or one location, but it's not a problem, or it's not a prioritized problem for other communities. So that's why the role of this, market research and co-creation, having meetings and discussions with potential end users of your products, and don't innovate completely. You can just have the simple, what you call a prototype, something very simple, a simple version of what you are trying to create, and then throw it out to the market. That's interact with the people, let them tell you about the usability of the product, affordability, many other features that will enable you to now, gauge whether or not they're in demand or not. So demand, if there's no demand, you have not established demand that's enough for you to be able to run a sustainable, enterprise out of it, then you are still at the level where you are testing. So you don't invest too much. So you invest a little, test, iterate, go back and change some features or add some features or reduce the price. Just work with the feedback, from the community or from the end users in those small groups. And then you replicate, until you have something. But in it, something that I'm very sure about, if the potential end users are involved in creating your solutions, you would already know whether there's demand or not. And once the final product is in the market, it will be automatically uptaken. That's like something that's for sure. So you need to know whether the problem is big enough, and the problem is big enough to fetch you money. So it may be a problem that's just small segment of the community. Will it be able to, sustain your business if you produce, let's say, 100, just 100 pieces of sanitary pad per year, for example, because the people who need sanitary pad per year in those locations are just 100. So these are things that you play around with, but sometimes it fails, and then you completely discard the innovation. And there's nothing wrong in completely discarding an innovation. Don't We should not be stubborn about our innovation and say it has to work. We should not force innovation or market people, but we should only invest in demand-driven products, and services. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate. So we have 8 more minutes. Like, yeah, we added
Okay.
15 minutes to the prison. So I would like Professor,
Thank
if
you.
he's in a position to talk, I would like him to just say to what's on the ground, sustainable businesses and innovations.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I hope I can.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Sorry, I don't. Yeah, I'm in a vehicle going to future. I just landed. So with
Okay.
regards to what Doctor just presented, Doctor Sam, is a very good presentation. If you intend to be an innovator to start something, that is something you need to think about. But with regards to where do you get market as starting a different innovator, definitely every idea starts small and you can scale it up. You can also do some little market research, like what he was explaining is market research. And when you test the market, it can be by sending out people to push it, or it can be by actually going out to test a little of the product. And once this look at driven market driven demands, for example, if you are into the food sector, there is nothing like you will not get customers unless you take your food sector and you go and put it where people don't need it. The food is always be important. So you need to think of idea of the business, how you can scale it up, and then you need to also give room for failure. As we have said, there are times you need to look back and say, what am I not doing right? It may just the color of the thing you are producing, or it may just the brand, or it may just be supposed to grow. And so this is to stop it. And there's farmers plan. They call it Ruga. That name alone is what made that project to fail. Because immediately you say Ruga, you are trying to settle a plan between others and the farmers. And you know, Ruga means the stable for the cooler. Now you are using it may that may not be the meaning that it is the RUTA meaning friendship of vice versa. They're using that term in program make that project to look at your project. Sorry for the program.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Really appreciate. So, I mean, I think we can all see things that can make innovation succeed in a sustainable pattern and things that can make it fail. So, thank you so much, Dr. Shehu Shamsuddin. I mean, I wish we could continue this forever, but not to worry, we are going to bring you back, sir. We hope we have the capacity to do that next time. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So, we'll move on to the next presentation. Dr. Sharifat, please you prepare to give comments after this second presentation.
Okay,
So
thank you very much for having me, and we can continue this conversation some other time. Thank you.
yes, sir. You're welcome. Thank you very much. I mean, we are so lucky to have you. I know what the schedule looks like, and then you still took time to be here. We really appreciate it. We can't thank you enough. We are not able to. Thank you very much, sir. So, Dr. Marilyn Muthi from Kenya, are you ready with your presentation? So he's going to be telling us something interesting, like yeah, a bit very specific, but how different cooking methods affect the microbial safety of edible B2 and the health of consumers. So how you can cook edible B2s and preserve the nutritional value that it has. You know, when we talk about sustainable agri and food security, we're also talking about expanding the options for food items so that yeah, you don't want pressure on the same items and want to use the whole world to produce them. So when you expand, and that means you're also expanding your sources of obtaining these food items. So we're talking about B2s, and now you can cook them safely. So Dr. Marilyn, the floor is yours.
Give me a minute. Hi everyone, my name is Marilyn Moze, and I should say that I am not a doctor yet, but I am a food scientist by profession, and I am also a passionate food researcher. So my topic today is going to be on the effect of cooking methods on the microbial safety of edible beetle grubs and consumer health. So one of the UN SDG goals that I'm very interested in is in achieving zero hunger, that is goal number 2, and attaining food security. And a lot of times we find that a lot of efforts are put into making food available and also making food accessible. However, one of the dimensions or one of the pillars of food security that is often overlooked is the utilization of this food. So when we talk about utilization of food, we're looking at, is this food that is being made available and accessible of high quality? So when you talk about quality, we look at the nutritional quality of the food. We also look at the chemical quality of the food, and we look at the microbiological quality of the food. So when you talk about the chemical quality, we're looking at, are there any chemical hazards that are still present in the food? For instance, the pesticide residues. I'm sure some people have also heard of arsenic being found in food. And then when you're talking about the microbiological quality of the food, we're looking at, are there pathogenic microorganisms or are there spoilage microorganisms? So the difference between the pathogenic and the spoilage may not necessarily make you sick. However, they change the appearance of the food, they change the texture of the food. Basically, they are changing the organoleptic properties of the food. But the ones that we're really interested in are the pathogenic microorganisms. These are the salmonellas, the E. coli, the ones that usually here cause food poisoning. So ideally, when you overlook the utilization aspect of the food, that's where you find we have issues such as hidden hunger. Yes, food is available. Yes, food is accessible. However, the food is not nutritious. The food is not safe. So when I talk about hidden hunger, basically I'm talking about malnutrition or nutrition deficiency. So edible insects have been found to be very important when you're trying to combat malnutrition, especially protein energy malnutrition. Some papers have found that edible insects have a high amount of proteins, arguably higher than other animal source foods. For example, the meat, the pork, goat meat, beef, such. However, I should mention that not all insects have a higher protein content, but some of them do. But then when it comes to insect consumption, as much as we are talking about consuming insects, there are a lot of challenges that are associated with insect consumption. The number one issue is usually the negative attitude and perception that is associated with insect consumption. A lot of people will throw around words like it's disgusting, it's filthy, it's for resource poor people, people that may not be able to afford food. However, there are a lot of benefits to consuming insects, like I talked about, protein, the high protein content, the good amino acids and fatty acid content. Another issue that we find in autophagy or insect consumption is allergic reactions. So you find that some people say that when they consume these insects, they get, for instance, allergic reactions. But then as food scientists or as regulatory bodies, what usually is done, they're supposed to label the food. I'm sure when you look at some of your products, you can find maybe if it's your yogurt, they've labeled that this one is made from cow milk, this one is made from goat milk. Some are written, they have peanuts. So if you know that this particular food or ingredient can elicit an allergic reaction when you consume it, this usually will put you off from consuming that food. And now the primary thing here is the food safety concerns. A lot of people do not think that insects are safe to consume, and this is where we come in. So my insect of interest here was the edible rhinoceros beetle larva. I'll call them grubs from now on. I'm sure some may have seen it probably in compost manure or in dung manure. Usually they're found maybe in even coconut. They're eating coconut or palm. Yeah, so in Kenya, they are the 5th most consumed insect. Usually they are consumed in Western Kenya, but they're also the 3rd most consumed group of insects in Africa. And I believe they are fairly underutilized. And I was very interested because in Western Kenya, it's consumed in about 39% of the households, and they are considered a delicacy. This was a study that was done by someone called Wanjala, and they did a survey. So in the survey, they were looking at how are these beetle grubs being processed. And they found that some people boil these grubs, some people deep fry them, some people toast them, and some people roast them. However, there are others who are also using these methods in combination. Why this is important is because the temperatures that are being used could potentially influence the microbial load of the food, and also other conditions. They differ in several other conditions. So these are some of the results that we got. I don't want to get too technical, but the ones that you can see are labeled in red. Those are the ones that we would not recommend you to consume. For instance, in the survey, it was found that some people are consuming this insect raw. When you consume raw, you have this microbial load of 9.78. Now, to put it into perspective, certain limits have been set. For instance, 5.7, let me use 5.7 because that is the limit that has been used. If you consume a food that has higher than 5.7, you're putting yourself at a risk of now getting illness, because some of these are pathogenic microorganisms. So when you see, for instance, our raw, you're not supposed to consume raw, and you're also not supposed to consume the boiled when it comes to the yeast and mold. The YMC is the yeast and mold count. Now, when it comes to yeast, you find that they may not really cause disease, but they produce some toxins. I'm sure some of you may have heard of toxins like aflatoxin. They may even find themselves in milk if a cow has eaten something that has aflatoxin. That's why it's really important to look at the limits. Are they exceeding the limit, or are they below this limit that we're looking at? We were also looking at the substrate. Usually the substrate, or wherever the microorganism, wherever the insect was growing, or if it was not being farmed, or wherever it was being collected, whatever it was eating, whatever microorganisms may have been in that substrate may find themselves in the insect. And when it comes to processing, some of these microorganisms may not be reduced, may not be eliminated. Now, when I come to Staphylococcus aureus, these ones, they're usually introduced into the food after processing. So they are found in your mucous membranes, they are found on your skin. So you find some people are handling food without gloves. You find some people are packaging, but then they are not really observing the good manufacturing practices. There's no aseptic packaging. That way you find, even if we eliminated these microorganisms during processing, somehow they find their way into the food later on. So there, you're really putting yourself at a risk now, because they also produce some toxins which may now bring you some issues. When it comes to this Salmonella, Shigella, and Campylobacter, not to get too technical, but I'm sure some of you have heard of some food poisoning cases. For instance, in Kenya, as recently as April this year, we had some schools whereby food was found to be contaminated with salmonella. Now, when you're consuming food like this that has salmonella, this salmonella is going to bring some issues like vomiting. You might even find yourself, you're diarrheaing. And then for some people, it even goes as extreme as death, like the case that I was talking about. That's why it's really important. When it comes to some of these pathogenic, ideally we say that for some, there's no like limit. As long as it's there, you should not be consuming that food. For instance, Campylobacter. If Campylobacter finds its way in your food, if you analyze your food and it has this bacteria, definitely that food, you're not supposed to consume it. There's no threshold limit that has been set. Now, this is where I'm talking about the hazard analysis critical control point. I remember Professor Fasina yesterday talked about the farm to fork approach. You may put in a lot of effort in the primary production. So when it comes to primary production, it's the farmers, it's the people who are producing this food, maybe they are rearing these insects by themselves. So when it comes to insects, they usually say that the insect that you're farming by yourself, that one it's easier to control the microorganisms in this. But when it comes to the ones that you're collecting from the wild, the microbial diversity, or the various microorganisms that you will find in one that is harvested from the wild and one that you're farming for yourself is going to be different. So you might put in a lot of effort in the primary production, but if you miss your way somewhere along this whole process, for instance, in the processing, you may be able to eliminate it, but then somewhere along the way, probably in your retail and storage, or maybe in your consumption, you're not observing the good practices, good hygiene practices. For instance, you're touching the food with your bare hands, you're not using gloves. For instance, if you're in an eatery, definitely whatever you had done prior to this point is not going to help. So when it comes to this hazard analysis critical control points, there are points whereby even if the microorganism or this hazard, this microbiological hazard is present, there is a point later on where we can eliminate it. But if you get to a point where you cannot eliminate it, you've already put the consumer at risk. So that is basically what my presentation was about. From my research, we found that toasting and roasting were the most safe forms of this edible rhinoceros beetle larva. My presentation was really short. Thank you so much for listening. These are the donors that we are acknowledging. This is ISIPE. I'm not sure if you've heard of ISIPE, but it's an organization that is doing a lot of research on various insects for feed production, also for food production. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Well, yeah, of course. You deserve to be a doctor. Yeah, so pardon me for the wrong usage of the word. Anyways, that was fascinating in the sense that this B2, I think if it is the one I have in mind, I think they eat it in rural places in the northern part of Nigeria, especially the northeast. As I understand, in Guru, that's in Yobe State. They eat it a lot, like, and they even export it to other states in the country. So thank you very much. So this is not just for the East Africans and Nigerians that also consume this. So I have their family members in the villages consuming them will reckon with it, and they'll try to pass the message along that okay, this is the safest way to really prepare this and present it. So we'll be taking questions for her, and thank you for making it short. So we have more than enough time during the networking session. It's gonna be open mic if you want to talk, you speak, while there will be a lot of things going on in the chat box. It will take minimum of 30 minutes, but yes, thank you. So Dr. Sharifat, yeah, you have to give a rider to this while we take questions in the chat box.
Could you go over that again? I didn't quite hear what you were saying.
All right. So I said you had a presentation, right?
I would do what?
Did you hear a presentation? Like, did you follow through a
I
presentation?
did.
Yeah.
I
So what do
did.
you have to say about it?
Wow, what she's talking about is indeed fascinating. And
Yes.
I saw in the chat room where someone said that the rhinoceros beetle was being consumed in Nigeria. It's an
Yes.
innovation and something new, but it's going to take it's going to take so much for me to try that.
Yes. Well,
But I
if it is the
did
same
enjoy
one, I
her.
have tried it. I've taken it several times. Okay.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I mean, this is another person that testifying to that in the comment section. Yeah, in Bielsa,
Exactly.
Yeah. So I've taken it in the past. If it's the same
Wow.
one, but I mean, it's sweet. And thank you. I think I took
Am I
roasted
allowed to
once.
respond?
Yes, please.
Okay, so for most people that are a bit skeptical about consuming the whole insect, there
Yes.
is another way that you can consume the insect but still get all the benefits from it. You can consume it in the invisible form, whereby maybe you grind it into powder and then you fortify a certain product with it. You can add it to some porridge flour. You can also make, maybe if it's ugali or something, you can make some products using this. You can also make cookies using the powder. Look at the benefits.
Yeah.
The
You
benefit
look
is
at the
quite a lot from your presentation, as
yes.
well as from the data that you presented. The benefits is so much, but it's just the newness. But thank you
Yeah,
so much for your.
to many people living in urban areas, I think it's new, but for village people like us, I'm not a full village boy anyway. Right? Village city, I'm hybrid and everything. So, but then yeah, of course, I think most of us should start taking it. And well, it's not only the data that she presented that was much, the number of donors that she had for the research is fascinating. I think we need to talk about that
Exactly.
later on. Yeah, she had a
Yes.
lot of organizations. We needed to know how you brought all of them on board, how you aligned them with what you did your research, and how you got them to pick interest and funding. Yeah, because since this is a collaborative platform, there are people, I'm very certain, whether here that are interested in joining but not able to, that will also have access to the report from these events, that might be interested in something like this, that have researches like this to carry on. So if you would kindly when your attention is needed to, connect to them and help them maybe secure funding for their research and probably their innovation in this direction, we'll appreciate deeply. This is why we are here exactly, actually, to really push things forward um, in Africa on a positive note in a sustainable manner. That is the magic word. So, Dr. Fashina said, Professor Fashina said, and it's high in protein, yes. So it's also incorporated into poultry feed as an alternative fish meal. Yes, getting enough quantity is a challenge. When I was in Nairobi last year with my boss, Dr. Sheu, somebody made a presentation about production of black flies as alternative protein source for poultry feed. But yes, of course, how to produce it at home. Then how do you get the production to a scale that you can actually use for medium scale poultry production or even large scale poultry? That was like the biggest question here. Because yeah, for the most part, if you are on small or medium scale poultry production, you may be able to produce something enough for your own consumption. But yeah, how do people get it? Because there are some people that may not have enough space to spare to produce it. So that means they would depend on people that produce in large quantities. So the answer to that at that point was, why not some people take that on? You understand? Some people deal with the production of these black flies on a large scale, while the poultry producers just off take it from them instead of trying to produce their own all the time and then incorporate it into their feed. And yeah, which is a reasonable option. But yeah, that was it then. If anything comes out in this conversation that speaks to that, we also appreciate. So, any question for Miss Marilyn? Well, we have to ask questions, okay? Abeni Alimu must be Ethiopian. We know ourselves. I am Nigerian though. Sorry, I just like Ethiopia too much. So Africa can improve its overall health approach by investing in healthcare infrastructure and access to. Yeah, of course, it's just giving an overview of health systems in Africa. All right, any questions for Marilyn? I won't proceed if we don't ask questions. Okay. I'm sorry about my background. I stay right in the middle of noise making hotels in Calabar here. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. I wish I'd done this elsewhere, but I had no choice at this point. All right, so Miss Marilyn, then we leave it at that until we get into the networking session. Yeah, where you have the opportunity to talk again. Thank you very much. So much I appreciate. If there's any question in the chat box, I'll narrate, or if we receive any question by email, I'll also let you know so you can answer them. So now we go to the fun part, the last part. Thank you everyone for taking your time to engage in the serious part. Yeah, of course, serious fun. So we'll be taking, this is the exhibition part, exhibition session. What we're going to be doing is we'll be taking um all right. So Miss Marilyn, we now have a question for you. Does the consumption of these insects have any effect on the ecosystem? Yeah, next question. Depends on the source, but yeah, okay.
Yes, I believe it will have an effect on the ecosystem if you're collecting them from probably the wild. But if you decide to maybe do some insect farming, you could actually mitigate the maybe issues that would come from it, I believe.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it's a question of the source. Where do you get it from? Because, like Dr. Sam said yesterday, Dr. Samuel Akpan, um, if you farm these wild animals, wild insects, and come to eat, I think it's a little better. Though of course there are still ethical issues, but it's better than for you to take them directly from the wild all the time, right? Taking them from the wild does not only predispose you to the risk of zoonotic disease, it also uh, has a negative impact on the ecosystem. They are basically reducing the population of a particular organism, which some other organisms either depend on or are expecting to take them. So you create an upset in the ecosystem if you're taking them from the wild. But just to avoid that kind of upset, you can go into the production of these insects at home. So another question, please, can you give some insight on laboratory methods that was used in the study? Well, if I don't know, do we have the time for that? Maybe no. We'll take this question and then you get a response by email. Yeah, we wouldn't have the time for that. Mr. Jack, your hand was up, and after that we go to the exhibition.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marilyn, for such an informative presentation. I just wanted to add on the aspect of effects on ecosystems. And I wanted to bring the aspect of pollination, where insects play a key role. So the moment we use them unsustainably, automatically it's going to have effects on the ecosystem, various ecosystems, especially on the aspect of pollination. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that input. And that relates to the first question: what impact does it have on the ecosystem? Well, if pollination is affected, then you're talking about food for even us human beings, right? So that means we'll also be affected, yeah, based on the grand ecosystem structure. So thank you very much for bringing out that concern. As I understand, that research was yeah, more focused on the nutritional benefits of the production. I mean, the preparation methods of these edible beetles. Not so much in the direction of sustainable, but it's a very good thing we are bringing out of this, and I'm sure she had all that considerations as well. So Emmanuel Adamaleko, well, let me just take the last question from you, and then we'll proceed to the exhibition.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I don't know if my question is related to the last talk, but I really want to ask a very good question and I need some clarity. It could be sent through an email. I'm a medical laboratory scientist by training, and I'm more specialized in human medicine. I want to ask in One Health now, coming to One Health, as a medical laboratory scientist, because we deal with testing, with diagnosing, treatment, and management of human sample. So I want to ask, what role do I play in One Health? Seeing is an intersection between environmental health, human health, and animal health. How do I come in when you're talking about biodiversity? How do I come in as a professional? How do I add my own quota? Because it seems, okay, maybe veterinary medicine, the veterinary doctors, the animal health scientists. How do I come in? How do I come in? That is a question I would like to know. Thank you.
So this is obviously a question for Professor Fashi now, but he's not around. So now I think he just left me because of our network. Oh, okay, he's still here. All right. But let me just throw in my 2 cents before you go. So as a microbiologist, so when we talk about One Health, right? It's not just one thing. It's not one key fits it all. Yes, of course, it's an approach to solve almost all problems. But these problems, there are multiple of them. They come in different dimensions. So, for example, antimicrobial resistance. So, how do you come in as a med lab scientist in solving the problem of antimicrobial resistance, for example, in Africa, based on the fact that, okay, drug availability is not controlled. Yeah, we can say it not controlled, but not to a reasonable extent. The drug that gets to human and animal populations are really just flowing through. It's not very regulated. So how do you come in? So when a human medic brings a sample to you for you to run microbial culture sensitivity, this is just an example. There is so much more you can do. You can step out of that scope of microbiology and then do some other things. I'm just giving an example within your profession now. If they bring a sample to you and you run the sample and it turns out, okay, the microbe in question that you discovered is resistant to many drugs. So you can play an advisory role in that place, and you can use whatever finding you have from each case as evidence to advocate for a better drug control system, because you are in charge of the evidence now. When women medics or veterinarians bring samples to you, and you run the samples and you discover, okay, yeah, the microbe is resistant to drugs, and it's not used to be like that. So you can compare and contrast from your professional experience that, okay, we don't have it like this before now, but now that we are having it, now we have evidence to prove to the government or any authority that is in charge of drug control in the area where you work. So you are going to do more of evidence generation to support advocacy work, so that people that will be speaking to the government or you yourself, we have proof to everything you are saying, that okay, I am not just saying we need to control the availability of antimicrobials because I woke up one day and I wanted to support the AMR course, but because this is what I found out. Yeah, so that is one way you can contribute. Also, the in surveillance. Yeah, so when people bring the samples to your lab, like, you don't just run the testings, discover whatever you discover, and submit back to them. No. So you hold on to them, put them, gather them as evidence, and make sure you follow up as well. If you are so serious about establishing good healthcare systems in Africa, so you follow up to make sure, okay, if it's a vet that brings to you, follow up to make sure he sends it through the right channels to where it's supposed to get, where it's going to induce action for control. So I hope I've been able to answer that question partly. I hope yeah, I contributed my 2 cents, like I said. Now I will allow Prof to shed more light.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Dr. Hawala. Actually, you started the responses well. And what I would just do to give the few example. For example, why are modern cities using central sewage system instead of allowing everybody to dig a pit for sewerage at the back of the house? Because we come to understand that you can pollute or contaminate groundwater in so many places. Instead of centralizing it, I have one single source, and this is about system thinking. Because now the engineer needs to contribute, the planners, the city designers, and everybody need to bring in their contribution. And as you've been told about the issue of the microbiology, we once had a student who were to take some sample, collected some very good sample, almost 1,000 samples from them, and he was testing those samples for some microbial agent. He got some very good results. And then he came back to me and told me, oh, Prof, I finished this work and these are my results. He tabulated the result and showed it nicely with the statistics. And I asked him, okay, so what is the implication of these results? He looked at me and said, what do you mean? That I correct generated result, we just populate it and all this. I said, yes, you are not thinking as an applied scientist. You are not thinking using the lens of oneself. Now you've collected this sample. Did you ask yourself, where did they come from? What are the origin of this sample? Possibly you can inspire something that do you put the economic divide? Which of the sample come from the rich, which one come from the poor? Maybe it can tell you something. Did you put gender consideration into this? So by the time you begin to think of all these other criteria and begin to bring them in as an applied scientist, you will find a lot of beauty added to your work. It's like you build a beautiful house but you never paint it. You see, the house still has the structure, very beautiful and very solid, but because it is not have the paint and the final fittings of the house, you will never see the beauty of that house. So you as a lab scientist, you don't only run the sample in the lab, don't only deal with the microbes. Look at it from the policy point of view. Okay, from the result I generated, are there things we can tell the policy maker
Hello?
in terms of looking at the outcome of this sample and informing policy. And there are things that are for economic context. And so you can bring different contexts for me to work transdiscipline other professionals who know better than you. So let me just look at that what you are doing. That would be my contribution. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I mean, we can all see how serious Prof. Tukos is presently on a tree on a subway. He's in Europe, and then he still took the time to attend and listen and even listen to the questions and answer. We really appreciate. We know we can thank you enough. We really appreciate your effort. So, Emmanuel, I think you have your question answered. You have to, you know,
Yes,
just
I do. Thank you so much, Prof.
it's no longer
Thank
a
you so
matter of
much.
thinking outside the box. I think we need to even eliminate that box now and start from outside the box before we even think. All right. So without wasting time, let's get to the exhibition. So we for this event to come to reality, we didn't just act alone. We had partners, Nigerian Youth SDGs Network being the prime, and we really appreciate all their efforts in making this happen. We were supposed to even host it on their Zoom, but we managed to get one before, and that is why you are seeing our own Zoom coming up. So I assume they have a representative here that's going to give like a 10 minute presentation of what they do. That's Nigerian Youth SDG Network. So, Praise, are you there? Because I'm seeing.
Yes, I'm here. Good
Oh, thank
afternoon
you.
or good evening, everybody. Good day.
Yeah. Let me make you a co-host so you have all the rights. Now you can share your screen if you want to. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. So first of all, I want to appreciate the One Health in Action team for putting this together. I have just been behind the scene listening and following and also learning, and I see a lot of impact concerning health, even in the concerning health in the environment, in our personal well-being and all that, and it has really, really been impactful. Thank you for putting this together. So just shortly, like you have given me a short time, let me quickly share my screen. Please give me a moment to do that. Okay. Please kindly confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir. We can see a screen.
Okay.
So if it to be
Okay,
okay
let me
for you
just
to go
proceed quickly.
to, yeah, okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so like rightly said, we are a Nigerian youth of you are the network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative, also known as Nigerian Youth SDGs Network. So we started in 2017 as an unregistered organization advocating for youth participation in the implementation and localizing of the SDG goals in Nigeria. But then we moved ahead in 2021. We got fully registered as a network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative, also known as the Nigerian Youth for SDGs. So we are same organization. So what we mainly do is that we advocate for policies that concerns youth. So we understand that a lot of policies in Nigeria that may not have been implemented or may not have in a way concerned youth. So what we do is we advocate ensuring that these policies are also youth focused and also ensuring that youth are fully awareness, sensitization, and also participating in achieving the sustainable development goals in Nigeria. So that's just what we're about summarily. So heading to our vision and mission, our vision is to create a platform from youth-led focused civil society organizations to understand their roles, responsibilities, and engagement in advocating and driving accountability for the sustainable development goals in Nigeria. So as our vision, we also have a mission, which we each day we wake up to having a sense of ownership to what we're about. So our main core mission is to educate, empower, and engage youth-led focused civil society organizations to know, understand, and enforce their roles, their responsibilities, and engagements for the success of the Sustainable Development Goals through awareness, like I said, awareness creation on developmental issues, and identify local best practices that can be implemented to carry out the Sustainable Development Goals. So what are our core focus areas? Our core focus areas are civic participation. We want to know that Nigerian youth are participating in civic responsibility when it comes to public policies and practices, that the youth are fully involved. So livelihood and employment, and we do that through civic participation. Livelihood and employment, same thing. In the acts that concern employment, are there considerations for youth? Also in education and capacity development. So we do this also, educating and building capacity in such a way that youth are fully involved in the decision and engaging in leadership capacity development, and also education, are also educating and also ensuring the advocacies to help break the cycle of poverty. So we have, even before our registration in 2021, we have fully participated in initiatives and programs, even as an unregistered organization. That's to tell you that it is beyond just being registered, but it's something we are passionate about, ensuring that we have strategic youth involvement and engagement when it comes to localizing the SDGs. So over time, over the years, and we are still on it, we have initiatives and programs get towards youth participation and involvement. So we have influenced the Nigeria Youth Employment Action, the SDG book, the SDG playbook, I'll talk about this soon, the Youth Activator Lab, in International Youth Day Spotlight Award, Decent Work NG Youth Spotlight Compendium. Also, we have Skill for Employment, Speak Up, Stand Out Initiative, Nigeria People's Assembly Initiative, Community Campaign Against COVID-19 in 25 communities across 10 states, also COVID positive stories. So elaborating on the SDG playbook, a lot of us know about the SDGs. We get a lot of youth when we go out to do our surveys, like the one we did doing Decent NG, Decent Work Initiative implementation. When you go out, a lot of you hear about the SDGs, we know about the 17 goals, but how do they localize it? It's not just about knowing that goal 3 is about good health and well-being. How do they localize it? What is their part to play when it comes to integrating it into their communities? So this is what the SDG playbook is about. So when you have that playbook, it's available on our website, and we advise and encourage everybody to have it, to download, share to as much as possible people you can get to. We even have intentions of converting this playbook to a video to educate and enlighten youth. So it's just about having this playbook. It shows, okay, if we want to talk on good health and well-being, how do you now localize this SDG goal? You have interest in health. You want to ensure that you have a community where people health are considered or they live in good health. So how do you localize this SDG so that you are carrying and also achieving this SDGs, playing your own part, leaving no one behind in your community? So this SDG playbook shows instances, right? Instances and examples of how you can localize the SDG, not only SDG 3, but the 17 SDG goals. So that's what the SDG playbook is about. It's an initiative from the Nigerian Youth SDGs Network. So we also have the Youth Spotlight Compendium. So what we did, we put together 50 amazing Nigerian youth. We put together their stories, having experienced or participated in different of the 17 goals. We put together their stories together to form this Youth Spotlight Compendium. So what this Youth Spotlight Compendium is about, like you can see, we selected 10 top youth all over the country who are contributing in the Sustainable Development Goals and making a mark for their community. We put together, there were 50, we let the first 10, the best 10, and awarded them, but we didn't leave the others behind, because each and every one, no matter how little your contribution is, you are transforming your community, you are making a mark, and you're also contributing to achieving Agenda 2030 of the Sustainable Development Goals. So we put them together. So when you have this, it can still be downloaded on our website, right? So when you have this compendium, you can actually connect. I heard someone asking about as a vet med and how he can carry out some kind of things I lost him at a moment. But what we try to do here is that we pick the stories, right? These are stories of people actualizing and implementing the SDGs in their community. So if you're interested in SDG 1 and you want to know how to go about it, you can see a story that will inspire you, motivate you, and give you guidance in this Youth Spotlight Compendium, which can also be downloaded on our website. So the Youth Activator Lab 2 is one initiative from us that we gladly do every year, and we are back on it for a while. For 2 years, we were on break trying to reform and put together, ensuring that we have an all-inclusive project. So what the Youth Activator Lab is a one-year mentorship program for, we call them champions. After 1 year, you become a champion. So we select them from 2 from each state to the best 2 from each state who we can see, who we have seen that they have interest and involvement in carrying out the SDGs and impacting their community, who have story to tell, who have a problem in communities that they are looking forward to solve. So we equip them with the right leadership and mentorship skills, the right developmental skills that is needed for them to implement their project, and also lead them through project proposal, grant writing, or what have you, just to ensure that they have a full grasp of what they intend to do. So even though you're passionate about something, they can be able to implement this project in their communities and also contribute to the sustainable development goals. So we are on this Youth Activator Lab journey right now. So we already shortlisting our participants already. So for International Youth Day Spotlight, I was similar to what we do with the Youth Compendium. So every International Youth Day, together with our partners, the Oxfam in Nigeria Work in Progress, we put together and we award also 10 youth to also making mark, just to commemorate the International Youth Day. So it's good when we spotlight these people are motivated and people see that, oh, I have interest in doing this in my community, but I don't know how to. So I can actually meet this person and receive guidance for it. So the Nigerian People's Assembly is an event that we do annually. The last one was just in Lagos and Abuja. What we do in this Nigerian People Assembly, we just don't want to talk about just focusing on youth, but we have stakeholders, people in the government who are supposed to be advocating, ensuring that youth policies are in place for youth. So we bring them together from the government, different arms of the government, from different organizations. We bring them together. We talk about how to localize the SDGs. How can we achieve it? How can we implement it? What are the limitations we're having? So we come together, we talk about it, both in the private, in the public sector, in the civil society leaders. We come together, we talk about it. We also work, we love partnering and collaborating with different youth focused organizations in achieving all our projects, our programs, and also our initiatives. Moving to community. So even during the COVID-19, so these are like our backstories, even during the COVID-19, we went ahead, we collaborated and partnered with the MasterCard Foundation for this, ensuring that people had a huge awareness of the COVID, had to protect themselves in different communities in 10 states in Nigeria. So moving ahead to influencing the Nigerian youth employment. So when we had a project that we carried out in Decent Work, we had a survey, using new reports, and we also went physically to these youth. What is your take on decent job? What is your take on having skills and a decent job when it comes to you as a youth? What is your take on decent job? What do you think this decent job is? What have been your challenges of assessing a decent job and all that? We did this, and and what our survey did after we gathered this real data and all that, we were able to influence the Nigerian Youth Employment Action Plan, and we were so grateful for that. We worked together with the Federal Ministry of Sports and Development to ensure that this project was a huge success. The Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports for that. And also, we also worked with the International Labour Organization to carry out that project. So, our same thing on Decent Work. On Decent Work, we also have a podcast where you can actually listen to people's views, people's thoughts, and their take on when it comes to decent work, other youths, to just get different perception. And we also ensured that even while we are carrying out this decent work initiative, we moved ahead to equip and enlighten youths, right? Youths with digital skills, which we also part of MasterCard Foundation for, across different states, to equip them with digital skills that are needed, which led to the skills for employment So Speak Up Stand Out. Speak Up Stand Out was also an initiative from us just to ensure that youth are speaking up. They get to know that they get to know that, oh, this is what my right is, even as a youth in Nigeria. This is what I supposed to be part of. Civic participation is my responsibility. Peace and security. So we get them to know, an awareness, from an awareness to execution. When you have a full ownership of something, you go ahead to enlighten and educate other youth. So our COVID positive stories, sharing those marks with our partners, a whole lot of things. We'll be working and partner with a lot of organizations, from the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development to the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, to Oxfam in Nigeria, Work in Progress, United Nations, SMILES, MasterCard Foundation, connectdevelopment.org, International Labour Organization. So we have, and we will continue looking forward to partnership and collaboration with youth-led and youth-focused organizations towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, not just achieving, but localizing it, ensuring that youth are fully equipped with the knowledge and the understanding that is needed to carry out, to play their own part in their communities when it comes to actualizing and implementing the Sustainable Development Goals, and also understanding policies that guide youth in Nigeria. It's not just about being a Nigerian, but knowing your parts you can play. So we always want to stay in touch with everyone we come across. So please, I crave your indulgence to connect with us on our social media pages. Visit our website to get a full grasp of our activities, our partnerships. Like what I say, we're always looking for to partner and to collaborate with youth-led organizations to ensure that SDGs are localized and the global goals are achieved. So like what we are mainly focused on is empowering youth to lead and thrive. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Like, seriously? Wow. That's good. That means we still have a lot to do together. Oh, well, you should expect to me in Lagos. I'll appreciate it. I'll visit your office because, yeah, so we can plan next year's dialogue together. Thank you very much, Praise.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think your contacts are there. If anybody has anything, you can contact them. But yeah, of course, I am contacting you again. Well, anyways, I'll speak to the bosses.
Yes, okay, just to lay emphasis on our email is info@nigerianjuicesdgs.org. You can always send an email to us. Yeah.
You can share it in the chat box. So the next exhibition, I mean, this is why it's exhibition. I mean, people showcase what they are doing for sustainability. And you can see this is huge in terms of policy and awareness creation about sustainable development and actions that culminate into sustainable development. So the next person to exhibit is Mr. Jack Mazingira from Kenya. And you're going to see what he's doing for the environment in Kenya. It's beautiful. Mr. Jack, you can take over.
Thank you so much, Devda, for having me.
Thank you, sir.
I have a short presentation. My topic today was not entirely focusing on what we do, but it was on making sustainability the new norm and giving insights and initiatives for African youths. So I have a very short presentation. I think it's going to be the shortest of the day because I was limited to 10 minutes.
We love that. Yeah, people are itching to start the networking session. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So you confirm if you're able to see my presentation?
Yes, we can see it. It's clear.
Thank you. So my name is Jack Mazingira. In East Africa, you know, we speak Swahili. So Mazingira is a Swahili word for environment. So I am the founder of a community-based organization called Towards Green Environment that is headquartered in the heart of Kibera slums in Nairobi. We know Kibera slums is the second largest slum in Africa, actually. So we have a lot of things that we are doing as an organization. Number one, we're doing a lot of restoration work because in the fight against environmental changes, more specifically the aspect of climate change, nature-based solutions plays a very key role. Statistically, we understand that tree growing is one of the key, ways through which you can reduce CO2, which is one of the primary greenhouse gases. And statistically, again, we are driven by the fact that a single mature tree sequesters up to about 48 pounds of CO2 annually. So we believe that by doing that, we are really, trying to solve the situation at hand. So Towards Green Environment was founded in 2019. We are a registered community-based organization, like I've said. We work generally with youths in Nairobi. We work with youths, we work with youth groups, women groups, we partner with schools, we partner with churches and all that. Sorry. So number two, we're also doing regenerative agriculture. In this case, we are doing syntropic agroforestry farming. I don't know whether you've understood that. It's a new form of farming that has principles that is guiding it. Ideally, the idea behind that is to extend our hand to do a lot of social protection programs, especially for children within the informal sector who are made to stay away from school because of hunger. So by doing that, we are bringing the sustainability aspect of it by ensuring that our programs are sustainable. They are not donor kind of reliant. Yeah, so that is more towards green environment. Now, on the aspect of the topic today, I'll start by some very important words of encouragement by different people across the world. Number one, the earth is what we all have in common. So I always tell people it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter your academic background, your ethnic background, the earth is what we have in common. So we have no other way but to preserve it. And then sustainability is no longer about doing less harm, it's about doing more good. I think that is very much encouraging. And then the only way forward, if you're going to improve the quality of the environment, is to get everybody involved. Nice. So our mission as a community-based organization is to foster a sustainable society that drives conservation through innovation, empowerment, and youth potential, while leveraging their goodwill and cross-border networks. We have a vision to lead an exemplary conservation and societal transformative model for the common good of the present and future generations, with ecosystem rights anchored at the core fundamentals of life. If you want to know more about Towards Green Environment, you can visit our website and you'll be able to know more. Now, on the aspect of sustainability, because of lack of enough time, this is what our discussion was focusing on. Sustainability, it encompasses ecological, economic, social, and ethical dimensions. And as you can see, with the ethical responsibility, we need to be very ethical in terms of our consumption. And I borrow heavily from the aspect of degrowth. If you'll consider the science of IPAT, you'll consider that environmental degradation is attributed by three factors. Number one is population, that is majorly affecting the people in the global south. Last year I ran a campaign that was calling children by choice and not by choice. I realized that people in the informal settlement tend to have children by choice. I mean, by chance, not by choices. Because I came to realize that the only form of entertainment that these people have is sex. So they end up having children by choice. So ethical responsibility. Remember what is happening. We are 8 billion right now, people with the same, resources, and we have a norm of over consuming, whereby we don't sustainably use resources that we're having around. And then the social equity and justice. For example, the aspect of including youths. This is where youths play a key role. Youths are supposed to be not just at the grassroots levels, but also at the policy making levels, because they're making policies that are going to affect or impact on their lives, the lives of themselves and the lives of the people that are coming. So it is have to be there. The aspect of education and awareness, this is a norm that we really need to start impacting on young people. We have a culture of capitalistic, that is capitalistic in nature, whereby we are making, money, or we're trying to be comfortable as much as we can, irrespective of the harm that we're creating to the people around us. And there is this aspect of where humanity believes that they have rights over other creatures on this planet. This is what is actually resulting into other, creatures going extinct. At this end of the day, that is coming to affect us. Look at the aspect of single-use plastics that we're using anyhow. It's coming back, it's finding its way into the food system, food chain, and it's coming back to affect us. And then the aspect of economic viability, I think I've touched on that when I was mentioning the aspect of the I-party question, where I said like environmental impacts is caused by three attributes. One is the aspect of population that I said is affecting the people in the global south. We have the aspect of technology that is really helping us to continue, exploiting the ecosystems. And then we have the aspect of affluence that is basically affecting the people in the global north, whereby the rich continue to get things they don't even need, and they're not able to even share with the poor. So we end up actually using the environmental resources sustainably. So why Africa uses all the key sustainable development potential? There is a very interesting report here that by 2030, young Africans are expected to make up to 2% of the world's youth. That is a report that was done by Economic Forum 2023. And then another interesting report that was done by the UN suggests that 3.5 billion people are under the age of 30. And that is majorly their youth. That is half of the population. 1.8 billion of these people are adolescents or are early adults ages, between the ages of 15 and 24. And this brings the aspect of why are youths important? Number one, we young people, we are very innovative. And I think we were talking with Daud about that before this session actually began. We are very, very innovative. So we are able to, come up with very innovative ideas, chart new paths that can help foster the aspect of environmental sustainability. It is estimated that around 10 to 12 million youths enter the African job market annually, while only about 3 million new jobs are created. And this is the aspect where young people really need to be start becoming innovative. We really need to start thinking of becoming, job creators other than, job seekers. And then the transition to green growth is emerging as a possible policy response to the youth employment challenge and a route to inclusive and sustainable development. African youth are active participants as innovators, entrepreneurs, investors, activists, policymakers, and so we touch every aspect of the economy. And with the aspect of environmental change, whereby climate change is just, to me, is just an example of environmental change, we really need to be involved as young people in every aspect of it, like I've mentioned earlier on. So what is meant by meaningful youth participatory in climate action? Where, in what areas do we really need to get involved? Number one, the agency roles that you perform. We have key roles that we're performing. We have the dimensions of governance that we want to influence, the level of governance to participate, the stage of decision making that we want maybe to participate in, and then stakeholder interaction. Now, on the aspect of dimension, maybe we want to govern, dimension of governance. This is where the aspect of policies come in. And I always encourage young people, seek political seats, so that we can have young people who are environmentally, conscious, can be able to come up with policies that are environmentally conscious and be able to, carry this forward. What roles? Young legislators, like I've talked about, young politicians, youth representatives, diplomats, in the climate change, aspect negotiations, platforms. On what level of governance do we want to participate? Is it the global level? Is it the continental level? Is it the local level? And I always believe starting from the grassroots is very important, because that is where we really need to build resilience from. Insights into environmental sustainability now, youth engagement starts with education and awareness. This is very key. And this is where I always actually encourage people. We really need even to include this in our syllabuses, so that young people grow understanding this, they grow having this as part of themselves. Encouraging and supporting youth-led environmental initiatives and organizations. This will provide a platform for young people to actively participate in sustainability projects, whereby we support initiatives, at the grassroots levels, where young people are becoming, innovative enough to carry the gospel of sustainability forward. Then we can be powerful advocates for environmental causes as well. Youth are often early adopters of technology, and that is one key area that is very, very important, and where youth actually play very key roles, because we are connected. Youths are connected. It doesn't matter in which part of the world you are. We have technology. We are connected. We can always, share our ideas and be able to chart new paths. So, in conclusion, because I said I had the shortest PowerPoint presentation of the day, we need to empower our youths education-wise, as much as the issues of environmental sustainability is concerned. We need to work as a team. We need to empower youths again in terms of resources where possible. If we have ways through which can help our youths with their initiatives that they're coming up with, by financing them, then we'll be able to help young people actually improve on the work of environmental sustainability. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Jack. You can check their website and see they conduct a lot of physical activities, do tree planting and all of that. And I think we have a clear understanding of the framework under which they work now. And yeah, it's based on the sustainability we're talking about. And thank you very, very much once again. We really appreciate. So the last exhibition is going to be from Alliance for Sustainable Lifestyle. I mean, you want to see this one. So immediately after that, we go into the networking, and you don't want to miss that part as well. So Dr. Lati, are you ready for us?
Yes. Good evening, Dr.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead to start sharing my screen so we can dive right into it. Okay, it's my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. We've had a lot of talks today about sustainability, and yesterday as well. And I think Alliance for Sustainable Livestock will just bring everything under one umbrella and just, sum it up. So I'll just dive right in. My name is Dr. Latif Abdulkarim, and I'm the Program Officer at Alliance for Sustainable Livestock. So I'm going to talk about Alliance for Sustainable Livestock under the umbrella of Sustainable Livestock Transformation in Africa. So what do we do at Alliance for Sustainable Livestock? ASL is a not-for-profit organization that is focused on strengthening the livestock systems in Africa. We implement our interventions by facilitating collaborations, empathic co-creation, and technology adoption. I don't want to go deep into this because throughout this whole dialogue, we've talked about these terminologies individually: co-creation, collaboration, and technology, and how it's important in livestock. And I think I don't need to go too deep into it. And what we do, we create solutions using capacity development, advocacy, business development support, market access, and research. And through our work, we are empowering smallholder farmers, strengthening rural economies, and creating a sustainable and profitable livestock system. So, understanding what we do, I would first of all start with just giving a brief definition of what sustainable livelihood is. Most of the speakers, the keynote speaker, Dr. Shehu, my boss, and Professor Fashina have actually talked about this, but I'll just give this definition, which is very basic, and I think we just give a perspective on what I'm talking about. That a sustainable livelihood is the type of livelihood that is sustainable, and it can cope and recover from stresses and shocks and maintain or enhance its capabilities and assets, both now and in the future, without undermining the natural resource base. So when you talk about sustainable livelihoods, we're talking about people that are marginalized and vulnerable to climate impact, to poverty, neglected people in the society, and how they actually fend for themselves. And some of these sources of livelihood are actually subsistence, means of farming, fishers, and people that just generate their income through environmentally sustainable ways. So we focus on what we do by focusing on sustainable development goals. And Dr. Shehu already talked about this, so I won't also dwell on it much. Our priority SDGs are SDG 1, 2, 3, 5, 12, 13, and 17. While all SDGs are important, these are the most important ones to us, and you see how we actually work on these SDGs later in my presentation. Also, Dr. Shehu talked about the triple bottom line, but he talked about it from a business perspective. However, I'm going to talk about it from a not-for-profit perspective and how we put it into creating sustainable interventions. We focus on people creating, improving sustainable livelihoods, making it more profitable for them, and also considering the planet, how what they do affect the planet and how they can become more resilient to the impact of climate change on their source of livelihood. So the focus of Alliance for Sustainable Livestock in relation to transforming the livestock system in Africa is we aim to do 4 things: improve production, that is better production, better nutrition, better environment, and a better life for people. And how do we prioritize these 4 things? We improve production by leveraging on improving production systems. And how do we do this? Encompass management and use of improved biological resources. When I say biological resources, we're talking about improved breeds, improved feeds for animals, and strengthening access to animal health by improving access to last mile access to animal healthcare services, and also promoting animal welfare through technology. This aspect, the outcome of it is actually improving gender equality in the livestock system, and also partnerships, because we partner a lot to arrive at this. And also this helps us to achieve zero hunger and low poverty rates in these rural areas. Then the second thing is better nutrition. For better nutrition, we're looking at improving animal source food for better nutrition. So we're strengthening the contribution of animal source food to security and nutrition. And the goals that are of priority in this aspect is zero hunger, good health and well-being, and partnership with the goals. Then better environment, how? Good practices and initiatives to make optimal use of natural resources and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. How do we do this? By incorporating climate smart practices into how they practice livestock, by building their climate resilience using these practices, and also by improving their adaptation and climate adaptation to help them improve their animals' productivity. And the last one, better life. So how do they get better life? By adding all this together, you are able to help support the small-scale livestock producers to improve their livelihoods and income through inclusive services and policies, thereby building their capacities. So I'm going to bring all this under something that I'm going to use a case study of what we do at ASL. So it's going to just be a case study of one of what we have done this year, so that it will just give you perspective of all the English I'm talking about so far. So this is a case study of a climate smart livestock production project, which we did in Taraba State. So this project was initiated in June this year, and so far we have had massive and amazing results. So I'm going to just share it with you so that you can get more perspective on what we do and how we do what we do. So we started this project by actually doing a baseline assessment. We went to the community. The target community is am I audible, please? Hello, Dada?
Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
you're audible,
You're
Latifah.
audible.
Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
somebody tried to hijack something. Sorry.
Okay, so we began by doing a baseline assessment. So doing a baseline assessment, we went to the community. We had focus group discussions with the women. We had focus group discussion with youths in the community who were educated but unemployed. Most of these youths already had a certification, a diploma, a degree in animal health, but they were unemployed. They didn't even know what they were supposed to do with their degrees. They were just there. And these women were farmers, smallholder farmers, like I said, part of our target audience. And they were all just, the climate setting in Taraba State was harsh for them. So they lost most of their poultry. We found out that there was no access, not little access now, zero access to animal health care, last mile animal health care services. They had no access to vaccines, and most of them didn't even know what vaccination was all about. So doing this baseline assessment and a co-creation session with people in this community, we were able to come up with a project that we implemented in their community, which was to improve local chicken production. So we created a sustainable solution, and the objective was to build their climate resilience by educating these women in local chicken production on climate smart poultry production practices, to also create a last mile access to vaccine and animal health care service. The expected impact was to increase their access to vaccine and animal health care service providers, and to reduce climate impact on their animals, and as well as to increase the income of rural women in these communities. So we didn't do this alone. We went further to go with a resident business there, because we believe that partnership is key to making a project or an intervention work. So we partnered with a resident business that had direct access to these women, because whilst most of them reared chickens, their husbands had cattle, and they also milk the cattle and sell the milk to this person, to this business owner. So we partnered with her because she already has direct contact with them. And we began the Climate Smart Poultry Production Practice project using the training of trainers model. So this training of trainers model recruited 20 resident youths in the community, both males and females. And the idea was, the basic requirements was that they had to have a degree in animal health or a diploma in animal health. So most of them that we said earlier did not even know what to do or were generally unemployed, were recruited into this program. They were trained on climate smart poultry production, and they were given more knowledge on how to help people in their community. So we trained them on this, and also vaccination, how to vaccinate, and the type of vaccines that they needed to give, just basically climate smart poultry production practices. And this trained veterinary paraprofessionals, who are also acting as extension agents now, stepped down their training to their communities. So they stepped it down to the rural smallholder poultry farmers in their communities and trained them, engaging these women who have poultry, smallholder poultry farmers in their community, and teaching them about vaccination, the need to vaccinate, and also the need to vaccinate, and also the practices that they can inculcate to reduce the loss of their birds. So the result of this, the outcome that we have so far, is that we had a 60% increase in their income. This is not just data from what we've done now, but from even previous implementation of this kind of project, which we have done, we saw that it's increased the income of these women by 60% and actually increased their flock productivity by 70%. And generally, the result we had so far is that they also went ahead and trained about 4,000 women in these communities, in over 40 communities, and they vaccinated 5,000 chickens. So the model is that this veterinary paraprofessionals are paid to vaccinate the chickens. So the vaccination is not free. They are paid to vaccinate these chickens for the women in the small communities at an affordable price. So because the veterinary paraprofessionals are residents in that community, they live there, they are part of the community, the cost of vaccinating, the cost of their services is more affordable to their people. And the distributor for the vaccine is someone that has been linked to a proper vaccine distributor in Kaduna State, who will give her at a discounted price. And so she's also able to sell to them, and she can now sell to the VPPs who will vaccinate the chickens in the community. How does this all come together to give us something that is more sustainable? It's more of going back to the triple bottom line of sustainability, where we said it involves people, planet, and profit. So the people here are the VPPs that have been they now have a job, so they have a profitable job, and they are now using their skills. They are putting their skills to use. The people that have a sustainable livelihood are the women whose household income has now increased by over 60%. And the planet issue here is the fact that you're training them on climate smart practices that increases the climate resilience and their adaptation to the changes in the environment, increasing their flock productivity. So the next steps for us is to scale up these interventions to different regions in the country, partner with more people to make sure that this goes round and we increase the climate resilience and adaptation of more farmers in different areas and across the value chain. When you do this, you're able to increase productivity, you're able to increase better nutrition, you're able to help people become more resilient to climate change impacts, and overall give everyone a better life. We want to promote use of improved breeds so that while they generally breed, but people using improved breeds would help them reduce the impact of climate on their animals and its productivity. And most importantly, improve climate resilience and climate change impact by teaching people about adaptation practices. So overall, I think this gives a sum of what ASL does, because I feel using an example to talk about what we do is something that will just make it come to life and you can just relate with it directly. Thank you very much. Here are our contact details. You can reach us for partnerships, collaboration, or for more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Not thank us. I mean, you're doing us a great service by presenting something amazing, something wonderful. I think this is a perfect exemplification of the green business we're talking about, right? Look at the sustainability coming in from the operational aspect, that is for fee vaccination, and coming in from the livestock production component, which is a green an economy based on green production, right? Livestock production. So thank you. You shouldn't thank us for this. We should be thanking you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lati. We really appreciate that. And I must say personally that my expectations were exceeded for this event. And I'm so pumped to see what happens next year. Peace. Well, I'll call Bolu. We have to start planning for next year. Do you agree? Well, I believe you do. So that will be all. That will be it for now, but that's not all. So what we will do now is the networking session. We want to sustain the connections that we've made here. So everybody will now go into the chat box now, drop your, in fact, any handle at all. If you want people to reach you personally, just drop your email. If you even want phone calls, drop your phone number, your LinkedIn handles most importantly, and then well, any handle at all, anything at all you want people to reach you on, please drop it. Twitter handle, Instagram, everything. So I will take charge of that. I will drop all my handles. If you want to follow, so please go ahead. So now it will now be an open mic at the same time. So I will continue to say one or two things, but if you really want to talk, you can raise your hand or just unmute yourself and speak. This is the fun time where we talk. You can also turn on your camera. In like 10-15 minutes, we're going to do the group picture. These were the people that fought till the end. I mean, I understand we've taken some feedbacks. Okay, it has started. The open mic has started. If you want to talk, you can unmute yourself or basically just raise your hand. I will allow you to speak. Yeah, whatever at all you want to say. So, but before then, yeah, of course, I'll be saying one or two things. So let me just start giving narrations of the feedback we got yesterday and our plans moving forward and where people can come in, right? So for the networking, it has started. Yeah, this is my own Twitter. I will put everything, but yeah, of course, if you don't want to put everything, we have to respect people's privacy as well. So if you have any question about this, I'll put my Twitter, my LinkedIn, everything, and our own OHI handles as well. You can please continue to follow us. All right, Celine, thank you. That's our social media manager. When I'm not posting, she's doing it. The girl is fire. Thank you so much, Celine. All right, people have started doing their LinkedIn. Well, everybody likes LinkedIn. We can connect on other handles as well. So, like I said, it's open mic. You want to talk or meet yourself, and I will stop. Right? Back to the feedbacks. So, we were under tremendous pressure yesterday by one of the participants to go physical with this. Like our keynote speaker said yesterday, it's not about just going physical. I mean, we are trying to save the environment as well. We could have done, at the very least, hybrid why we did this, but yeah, we were like, okay, let's do something that is also a bit environment friendly. Now, what is our plan since the participants want something physical? So, well, to go physical, we involve bringing a lot of people together at a particular spot, whatever country is going to be. East Africa is the hotspot now because Kenya removed the visa restrictions. Rwanda followed suit, and I'm very sure Uganda is in the pipeline if they've not done so, right? So, but yeah, of course, we are not going head on to just say physical. We might at the very least start with an hybrid event that is going to take place most likely somewhere in West Africa and virtual. And somebody said, okay, why not charge? No, for this particular dialogue, we are not going to charge. If we will need money for any component of it, if we can get it personally, fine. If we don't, then we'll try to reach out to get money. But when it goes physical, of course, we will need registration fees from people. But next year, it's going to be hybrid. That is what we are saying now, not what we are promising. It depends on the situation of it. We are looking at it as from the do I say optimist perspective or something, that it's going to be possible when we do hybrid event and we bring a lot of people together. Hopefully people from West Africa, and if any East African wants to come, fine. But what I understand is that to to get into Nigeria, hey, is a lot of trouble. People face problems in trying to get visa or something. So yeah, of course there might be problem there. But yeah, of course, we're trying our best to see how we can get people in for the hybrid. But even if we are going to have the resources at our disposal, why not? We can, yeah, get a few people to East Africa from the team. Kenya or Rwanda, we don't need to pay for visa. We just pay for flights now. Yeah. So, Celine, can you grab our handles and share in the chat box? So that is one. Then the second feedback is it took a long time, 3 hours for Zoom, the data, the time, everybody said it's hot. Yes, you understand that. So what we plan to do next time is to, segment it properly, right? So if you're attending one session, so it won't be compulsory for you because now everything is lumped together into the 3 hour session. So we do proper segmentation so that if you attend maybe one of it's going to be like If you attend yesterday, for example, you won't need to attend today anymore. So it's going to be segmented properly on specific tracks. Now we have the general overview of One Earth and Sustainable Livelihood. Next year, where there was a lot of livestock talking here, I feel bad because I am a vet. Most of the speakers were vets, and Jack is not a vet. Marilyn is not a vet, but of course, most of the speakers are vets. I don't really feel good about that as well. So next year we'll have a mix of speakers. We are already in talks with some organizations, and they are ready. We should have had more speakers, especially for the exhibition and the panel discussion, but we spent 3 months preparing, and that was still not enough. I don't know what happened there, but of course, we'll try to do better next time. We start preparing earlier on from now. Like I told you, peace. I'll call Bolu, and then we can start the preparation from now and see how we can partner on a stronger note. So that is what we'll do for that. We'll do some sort of segmentation. And so then thirdly, there was a comment about the dialogue theme. Well, I think we failed to break the ice between people on this event. Yeah, well, of course, it's supposed to be a dialogue, but I didn't see a lot of dialogue thing happening personally. So that person didn't need to bring it up. But was it he or her? What's the name again? Thank the person for bringing it up. Yeah. So what we plan to do to rectify that against next year is, so for each segment, there's going to be, it's only half of it that will be presentation, and it's not going to be every presentation like this anymore. This time around, why we did this was, okay, even ourselves at OHIA, we needed a little bit of expert information. We need to build ourselves. Like I said, we're operating on the 4 pillars of One Earth implementation, which means we also have to build our own capacities as well and build the capacities of people, right? So we are partly building our capacity here. Yeah, I know some of the things Professor Pashina said, but I don't know all of it. So I learned. And the same for my fellow OEANs. Well, Oga was give us the name. Lati, you help us thank him. He gave us the name today. And then, like I said, we failed to break the ice, and that's why I'm the only one talking now. Nobody is willing to raise their hand, open the mic, work with us, and all of that, which is not good. But yeah, of course, that was partly our fault. So lastly, further communication, right? Yes, we will be sending emails to everybody that registered. As a matter of fact, we're planning another webinar for this month, but it's probably going to be an OHS, which is just 1 hour. And we'll be talking about something specific. We'll be bringing someone to talk about surveillance, because when you talk about disease surveillance in One Health, only the health professionals understand it. When you say disease surveillance now, I know what it means. But the common people that are affected, the people that deal with the livestock and the humans themselves in terms of human and animal health, they seem not to really understand the importance of surveillance, right? Not to get it, like, okay, you want to test my animal and know whether it has a disease. What would be the implication? You understand? So how can we blend disease surveillance into the One Health approach? And how can we even use the One Health approach to design surveillance mechanism? Because I can tell you, we have a lot of fine and effective surveillance structures. Even in Nigeria, we have a lot of organizations doing surveillance and everything. But did they use design thinking that I somehow narrated yesterday, and that my Oga boss came this? Latifa, well, we are fighting because you made the mistake at the beginning. You said my boss is our boss. I told you. How many times do I have to correct you?
He's your boss. He's your boss.
Well,
He's your
really,
boss.
is our boss.
Your boss. Okay. But
So
officially your boss, unofficially my boss.
It's how you guys are dragging him for me while I'm here.
Problem.
Yes, the real ambivert is here. Like,
oh yeah, the real ambivert is here. Well, I hone him before any of you. So I
Oh,
think I see.
shit.
I will have to retain that authority here and say that our boss is the right term. Are we clear?
Yes,
So,
sir.
yo, thank you, thank you.
Yes,
Really,
our
girl.
boss, because you are now a boss too.
No,
Abby.
he's still our boss. I mean, you people want to implicate him. All right. So as I was saying, um, so the design thinking is not there in the surveillance that most organizations run. You don't tell people. This is the importance of why we want to take samples, why we want to do this and that, even if it's for research or something. Yeah, people are trying to do that, but how do we decentralize it? On the open space, how do we get people to talk about it such that it becomes, well, you can see from this event, a lot of people talked about sustainability, one out sustainable livelihood. It's something that is becoming popular. And like Dr. Shiu said, the one out awareness is not enough, but has gone so far, right? Disease surveillance is not having enough awareness to start with. Not to talk of now we're talking about putting one out into action. We need to talk about creating awareness for surveillance. There are many aspects of one that still needs more talking about, but we want to pick on surveillance by the end of the month and talk about it. We pray we succeed with that because I'm already seeing some hiccups, but if not this month, it's definitely still going to happen later. And then we invite everyone that registered for this event. And after that, we are planning, since we talked about capacity building very strongly yesterday, we are planning to invite someone that will teach us something, like step by step, do that. Free of charge, we are going to do it, but in the courses we are building, one of the inputs, like one of the impacts that this event has had on us is that we redirect our one health courses. Yeah, we are planning a one health for beginners, but subsequently we'll do something that has a capacity building component into it that would teach anybody that takes the course at least one specific thing. On that, I would recommend that you all take the WHO course on One Health for neglected tropical disease. It has some really technical knowledge in it for everybody. So in the package, in the final email that I'm going to send to everybody, I would definitely okay, Lizzie, you can talk. All right, though we are at the last minute, but please go ahead. I was expecting this how many minutes ago, and at the last minute you want to talk.
Okay, oh, so sorry about that. I was waiting for you to finish. Okay,
Don't wait
so
for me to finish.
I just want to really, really take this time to appreciate everyone that participated in this, from the keynote speakers. I really learned a whole lot that right now I'm still trying to find a way to put everything together and make a very good sense from it. I really appreciate Professor Pashina, Dr. Akpan, everyone that's spoken, and then meeting everyone, it's just like I'm meeting everybody for the first time. So it's a very, very great privilege, and I'm really, really excited that I'm getting to meet them all. And I'm hoping that we'll meet physically next year, right? So I'm hoping
Yes,
that
please
every one
hope
of them will
very
be
well.
available for us. I really, really hope, because it's a whole lot, getting to meet them all physically is going to be much more impactful. And I'm so, so, so expectant. So I just want to say thank you as a member of WHI. Thank you so much, everyone. Nice to meet you all. So
Thank you. She recently got promoted to being a co-director at OHI. So congratulations on the promotion, and then thank you for thanking everybody. The physical thing, well, at least if you don't see everybody, you will see me. Yeah, if it's hybrid, we'll be the organizers beating ourselves behind the scene to make sure things work out properly instead of having headache from the earpiece. So yeah, don't worry. Yeah, if you don't see everybody, you see somebody. Yeah, you see me, you will probably see Bola too. And okay, Dunsin is
I
smiling
will see
already,
ourselves.
laughing at the trouble that will
As
happen.
in,
Yeah, well, we'll do our thing and we'll make it work as usual. So this is the end of it, but that's not all. I hope to see you all again next year. And please follow our pages, interact with us. If you have anything that you're planning, you need help, well, most likely we'll be able to provide advice, but we can also connect you with people that can enable your innovation or your idea. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I just dropped my email here, but our emails, our contacts, everything, they're all over the internet on our social media. And it's just one as an action initiative. You can go on our website and pick anything at all you feel like. So please interact with us. We are open 24/7. We try as much as we can to always, 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 always be available. Dami, please go ahead. As she speaks, please everyone
Sorry,
can turn on their
Dr.
cameras.
Lauda, I just wanted to point you to a question in the chat box so that maybe you can link up with the person and can answer him privately. Because this is the second time he's sending it, so I think that it's really important to him.
All right, what's the question? Do you copy? Did you copy the question? Was
Yes, he said, I really like the initiatives and expertise you share on this webinar. I would like thoughts on some of the best field practices in terms of zoonosis prevention and control within the scope of One Health. So like it looks long, which is why I'm saying maybe you can connect with him so that you can reply him privately.
Okay, so in terms of zoonosis prevention and control, I will give the gross. I said gross because they're generic, but when you look at your situation, it's definitely going to apply. The first thing, see, if it's wild, anything they call wild, because when you look at zoonosis prevention, domestic zoonosis prevention, it's not difficult. It's hygiene. I'll talk about it. But then the first thing is, if it is wild, leave it in the wild. Of all the reimagined or even emerging zoonotic diseases, which are 75% of all infectious diseases identified and referenced with WHO, 75% of them are zoonotic, we know. But 70% of this 75, which is more than 150 diseases, are from wild animals. Right? So if it is wild, leave it in the wild. Most of the spillovers that happen, a zoonotic disease or a zoonotic spread just need one spillover event from the wild into human population, and it becomes our problem. The wild animals are no longer concerned. HIV, for example, after the incidence of someone butchering a dead chimpanzee in Congo, right, and then eating it and getting the precursor for HIV that now led to HIV/AIDS. Now, what happened? Are we now interacting with chimps? No. Are chimpanzees, having sex with human beings? Like, no, it's now between humans, right? The same thing, Ebola, the spillover with the bat. So once there is a spillover event, what follows is human to human spread. So that spillover, let's avoid it to start with. So when it is wide, when it's called wide, leave it. Forest, allow forests to breathe. I'll borrow presidential statement, let the forest breathe. If it's wild, just leave it in the wild and stay away from wild animals. Then secondly, hygiene. Whether in your day-to-day activities, be hygienic. The hand sanitizer shouldn't go missing. It's always in my backpack. And to show you that I preach what I live what I preach, it's always close by. I don't joke with it. If I feel I've touched the contaminated thing, look at it. I don't joke with it. So, I mean, and yeah, that's also a call to action for scientists here. I mean, let's live what we preach. For the most part, if you interact with me for 5 seconds, not even for too long, 5 seconds, if we don't talk about AMR, we talk about zoonosis prevention or something. Yeah, I make sure I make a lot of noise about these things. It's not because I have more than enough saliva, but I mean, just making sure I preach, I live what I've been preaching to people, advocacy and everything. So hygiene can be enough. Now it depends on the situation. If you're mobile, you're traveling or something, hand sanitizers. If you're at home, you can use correct disinfectants to, clean your floors, clean your surroundings, make sure everything is clean, avoid waterlogs. Then if you're in a professional setting, health-wise, all the biosecurity measures, you don't skip anything. Yeah, make sure that is absolute. You can be taking samples from bats now without face mask, not even the N95. You like proper, probably double layered face mask, because as we all know, bats harbor a lot of viruses because evolutionarily they were able to tune down their immune system so that they can carry all of these viruses and the bacteria along with them without their immune system reacting. When you get a virus or when you get an infection, what tells you have an infection is your immune system. What you see is a reaction from your immune system. It's not as if the virus is blowing you inside your body. No, it's your own body reacting that gives you the headache, that gives you the fever, that gives you the nose bleeding in case of extreme infection. You understand? So yeah, so it's your body's response that cause all those damages you're saying. So yeah, just prevent that thing from entering into your body already, and then whatever you can do to strengthen your immune system in terms of nutrition and everything, yeah, please go ahead. But yeah, hygiene as it applies to you, infection prevention and control. If it's on public note, you can use hand sanitizers, and when you're a professional, don't joke with biosecurity, right? Don't joke with biosecurity. That would be my 2 cents. Like I said, I'm still a learner in all of these things, but I try as much as I can to put in my 1 or 2, right? So I hope that helps. And that is on the ground. So when we not talk of specific, it depends on the profession. If for a microbiologist now, I'll say, I mean, a very strict biosecurity measure. It's because before you come into your lab, clean up, find a way to disinfect yours. When you get into the lab, don't go about with bare hands without gloves, saying, okay, you've been doing this for years. If you like, been doing it for centuries or millennia, one speed over, and then my brother, my sister, it's done. So that's it. That's how to really. But I agree with you. We are going to host a workshop on infection prevention and control in the public. That is the catch. That will happen next year. Because when COVID happened, look at it. Everybody, hand sanitizer everywhere. Wash your hand. Well, do we need to wait for COVID? Is there COVID? Where am I going about with this? It's Carex alcohol and sanitizer. I use yeah, Carex sometimes because they're a little bit mild. There is one that actually make my hand itch. Forgotten, but yeah, Carex. So do we need to wait for COVID to be personally hygienic? No. So yeah, we'll talk about infection because when we say infection prevention and control, we're talking about, yeah, of course, biosecurity. It's an aspect of it. But once you put it in biosecurity, once you mention all these big terms, everybody thinks, they are talking science again. No, right? We are talking day-to-day life. So we will do something on infection prevention and control for the public. What do? You are a farmer, livestock producer. Does it end at just wearing a different shirt into your poultry house and coming up? You have dogs, what you do, and let's take it out of the veterinary company. Now, human beings, you go to bank every day, you do all of this. Should you go into bank and be sneezing? I mean, we know how queues happen in bank and all that. Should we all be breathing into each other's nose? Right? What should the bank do to prevent any kind of infection spread in that place? And then what should you do to protect yourself? So we're working on something like this as well. Like I said, all of this will be impacted by this event. Yeah, the input from the expert speakers and from you people as well will motivate us to really do more next year. For next year, yeah, our strategy is to intensify capacity building for African youth generally, and also to do some physical outreach, yeah, in Nigeria, like reach the grassroots. That would take a lot of resources. We're planning, and we pray that we get enough support as we have gotten for this particular event, but we'll give everything it's going to take from our end. All we are fighting for is a better Africa health-wise and a sustainable Africa, a resilient Africa. We don't want to depend so much on the Western world for our day-to-day activities. At the moment, the status quo is that to do anything at all, we wait for instructions from them, and they consider us superior. I don't want to talk much about that. Yeah, it's a matter that is bigger than myself and the OHI at the moment. We pray things change, right? And Latifa can go and point somebody at Geneva. Wow, don't say that again about Africans. Okay, Latin is not that violent. Damn, I mean, maybe you can. Anyways, let's turn on our cameras. It's time. Let's go and look for something to eat.
Dr. Dowda,
And
what
then
are you trying to say? Who is the violent one?
you are not violent, you are strong. That's what I mean. Yeah, but Dr. Gaddafi, thank you very much. I mean, you're so welcome. I really appreciate your presence. Don't worry, the plan is materializing. So early next year, you are coming on One Health Scenarios. We started. I know we started. We had the concept, everything to host the One Health Scenarios, but we couldn't. But don't worry, it's going to happen very soon. So, Dr. Mutiat, thank you very much. Welcome. Yeah. So, she's an academic superwoman or superman. Which of them is strong? Well, anyways, yeah, the best graduating student for University of Florida last year. Please clap hands for her with the emoji. I mean, yeah, it's not easy. So, yeah, smile. I know I've taken a lot of time, 3 hours. Yeah, so but please smile. I'm taking the shots now. Thank you. Elizabeth, cameras on, please. Okay. Well,
I can't see my camera. Camera is not able to come on.
Oh.
I think the host disabled it from what I saw here.
No, I did not disable your camera. I think we can see you already. Who is speaking? Oh, Dr. Gaddafi, your camera is on. We are seeing you already. Okay, yeah, so we've taken the shots. Thank you so much, everyone. We take it off from here and then see you again very soon or next year. Either ways, we are going to meet again shortly. So thank you. You all have my God bless.